Solving quadratic equation by completing the square. Quadratic equation has three terms. The first term is ax squared, second term is bx to the power 1, and cx to the power 0. X to the power of 0 is 1. That's why cx to the power 0 equals c. When we transform the quadratic equation by completing the square, we get a into bracket x minus alpha squared plus r. Then the x minus alpha is set to 0, and that gives x equals alpha, and the y equals r. So this is the quadratic equation turning points. So the coordinates at the turning points is x equals alpha and y equals r. So at the turning point, the coordinates are alpha and r. So that's what quadratic equation gives us. Completing the square gives us when we apply it to quadratic equation. So let's try by solving for quadratic equation using completing the square. So let's solve this equation here. X squared plus 6x plus 3 equal to 0. In this case, where a equals 1, b equals 6, and c equals 3. The first thing to do in solving this equation is using completing the square is the x squared becomes x, and then you divide the b by 2, so that will be 3. You put that in a closed bracket, square it. You then take away the square of the 3 or the square of whatever is the square of the b over 2, in this case 3. Take away 3 squared, which is 9, and then you add your 3. So you can say the completing square is only affecting the x squared and the bx. Now what we have is x plus 3 squared minus 6. This is the format we have up here, and where the a is 1, the alpha will be minus 3 and r will be minus 6. So if we set x plus 3 equal to 0, x will become minus 3 because I take away 3 from both sides, and r and y equals minus 6. So at the turning point, the coordinates are minus 3 and minus 6. Now this is a good piece of information when we're sketching the graph. Now we need to solve the quadratic itself. So to solve it, we then do x plus 3 squared minus 6. We then equal to 0, and we move minus 6 to the other side, so it becomes x plus 3 squared equals 6, and then we square root both sides. X plus 3 equals plus and minus root 6. So what we do next is, let me just draw a line now. So what we do next is to take 3 away from both sides. So x equals minus 3 plus or minus root 6. Now this is the short form of the answer, in case they ask you to write your solution in sort form. So that means that minus 3 minus root 6, it's one root, and x equals minus 3 plus root 6 is the other root. And if I'm writing this in decimal places, that will be minus 5.4 and x equals minus 0.5. Now we've got the roots. What we need to do to sketch it is, in case they ask us to sketch it, so x minus at the point minus 5.4 minus 0.5 minus, so minus 3 minus 6, that's minus 3 there, that's minus 6, that's the point there. So it's crossing at 3, which is C. It's crossing y at 3, which is C. So when we sketch this graph, it's going to be, you want to sketch it like that, the turning point is there, and it's going all the way. I've got a straight line here, so it's a curve, not a straight line anyway. So that's how it goes. So that's your turning point here. At the turning point, it's minus 3 and minus 6. And those are the roots here. And that's how you sketch the graph. Always label your axis when you sketch. Now let's try example number 2. Again, solving by completing the square, the x will become x, the x squared will become x. Bring down the sign, in this case is plus. Divide the b by 2, and b is 4. So it's like it here, a equals 1, b equals 8, and c equals minus 10. Divide the b by 2, so you're going to get 4. Open and close bracket them and square it. Take away the square of b over 2. Square of b over 2, that means 4 squared in this case, that's 16. And bring down the minus 10. Now to complete it, so we're going to have x plus 4 squared minus 26 equal to 0. Now, what we now need to do, the turning points will be x equals minus 4 and y equals minus 26. Now to solve for the roots, we need to do x plus, that's the at the TP. To solve for the roots, we do the x plus 4 squared minus 26 equal to 0. And then we take 26 to the other side, so that will be x plus 4 squared equals 26. And then we square root both sides, so you get x plus 4 equals plus or minus root 26. And then we take away 4 from both sides, so that will be minus 4 plus or minus root 26. This is the SOD form of the answer, SOD, in case you're told to leave your answer in SOD, which implies that x equals minus 4 minus root 26, or minus 4 plus root 26. Now we can sketch this curve. Or to leave the answer in decimal, so x equals, so in your calculator in this case, you do minus 4 minus root 26, and that will give us minus 0.9, and 9.0 minus 9.0, and the next one is minus 4 plus root 26. So roughly that will becomes plus 1.09 actually, or 1.1. Now sketching this, just draw your quick lines. It helps if you make it straight as possible, as you can. So one point is x equals to 1, and the other one is minus 9. The turning points are minus 4, x is minus 4, and y is minus 26. So it's further down here somewhere. So let's just leave it here. And the intercept on the y-axis is c, and c is minus 10. So let's just leave that there somewhere. And now, so our turning point will be coming like that, getting through those values, and coming up like that. So that's the curve. Minus x, y, minus y. So this is a minimum, and those are the roots here. This root here is minus 4 minus root 26, and that root over there is minus 4 plus root 26. The turning points here are minus 4 comma minus 26. That's the turning point there. Example 3, where a is greater than 1, a equals 2 in this case. Hence, because a is greater than 1, this equation is not prepared for completing the square, so we need to prepare it for completing the square. That means we need to try and make a 1. In order to do that, we need to take out 2 from both first and second terms. So take 2 out means you're dividing it by 2. So that'll be 2. I'm using a square bracket. So I'm going to get x squared plus 3 over 2x, close the square bracket, minus 5 equal to 0. So this is now prepared for completing the square. If I multiply the first 2 terms by 2, you will see I get back my equation again. Now, we now need to apply completing the square to the bracket. So I'm going to get 2. Now, so in the bracket, in the square bracket, I'm going to turn x squared to x, bring down the sign. The new b is 3 over 2. I need to divide that by 2, so it will be 3 over 2 times 2, and open and close bracket, square it, take away the square of the new b, so that will be 9 over 16. 2 times 2 is 4, so that's 9 over 16, and then close the bracket now, the square bracket, and bring down your minus 5, and that equals to 0. So what have we done? First of all, we need to prepare for completing the square, so that a in the x squared, the a is 1. In this case, a is 2, so we take out 2, and then we then apply completing the square. Now we need to multiply everything in the square bracket by 2 to open the square bracket. So I'm going to get 2 into bracket x plus 3 over 4 squared minus 9 over, now times 2 that I'm multiplying it by, over 16, and then minus 5. That equal to 0. Well, 2 at the top will cancel 16 at the bottom, so I get 8 at the bottom. So I'm going to get 2 open bracket x plus 3 over 4 squared minus 9 over 8 minus 5 over 1 equal to 0. I need to make the 5 over 1 and 9 over 8 equivalent fraction. So that'll be 2 into bracket x plus 3 over 4 squared minus 9 over 8 minus 40 over 8. So I just multiply the top and bottom by 8 to get the equivalent fraction, and that equal to 0. So I get 2 into bracket x plus 3 over 4 squared minus 49 over 8, and that equal to 0. So my turning point, at the turning point, my x equals minus 3 over 4 and my y equals minus 49 over 8. Now we need to solve for the roots. So to solve for the roots, I need to then do this: 2 into bracket x plus 3 over 4 squared equals 49 over 8. So I took 49 over 8 here. I took it to the right. So I add 49 over 8 to both sides. Then what I need to do is divide both sides by 2 to get rid of that 2 in front of the x plus 3 over 4 squared. So I get x plus 3 over 4 squared equals, well, because I'm dividing by 2, it will become 49 over 2 times 8. And that will become x plus 3 over 4 squared equals 49 over 16. Now I need to square root both sides, so I'm getting x plus 3 over 4 equals plus or minus 7 over 4. Therefore, my x will become minus 3 over 4 plus or minus 7 over 4, which implies that x equals minus 3 plus 7 is 4 over 4, and that equals 1, or minus 3 minus 7 is minus 10 over 4. Now, so minus 10 divided by 4 is 2.5 minus 2.5. So we can sketch that curve if you want to. We got that much room, but now the turning points are minus 3 over 4. So 3 over 4 is what we called 0.75. So minus 0.75 is somewhere here. And y is minus 49 over 8. So 49 divided by 8 will be equal to 6.125. So 6.125 minus 49. So minus 0.7 is somewhere here. It's cutting the axis at C, and C is minus 5, so that's minus 5 here. And 2.5 minus 2.5 is one of the roots, and 1 is one of the roots. So my curve is going that way, and the turning point is like that. So that's the turning point. Let's see, that's the point here. That's the point. Intercept here is, and the turning point here, and those are your roots, which is 1, and another root here 2.5 minus the turning point, and your intercept here is C, which is minus 5. So that's how you sketch the curve. Right, question 4. A is minus 3. This is negative A. X is good. This is a maximum. And in order to prepare this for completing the square, we need to take out minus 3 because we need the A to be 1 or minus 1. So let's take out the minus 3 to prepare this for completing the square. So x squared plus, because I'm taking out minus and there's a minus next, so that will become plus, because if I expand it back, the minus would cancel the plus and you're going to get minus back. So minus 18 divided by 3 is 6x in this case, plus 2 equal to 0. So I have placed the 2 to make sure outside the bracket, to make sure it's not being affected. It's only affecting the first 2 terms of the quadratic equation. Now I need to then apply completing the square to the first 2 terms in the bracket. So minus 3 will still come down. I'm going to use a square bracket. So x squared will become x. The plus will still come down. Now the new b is 6. So 6 divided by 2 will be 3. Square it, x plus 3 squared. We need to take away the square of the new b over 2, which is square of the 3 in this case, 9, and then close the square bracket, and then bring down the plus 2, and that equal to 0. Now, so next thing we do now is to multiply out the square bracket by minus 3. So open everything out. So you're going to get minus 3 x plus 3 squared minus 9 times minus 3 is plus 27. Now the square bracket is open, so we get plus 2, and that equal to 0. In this case, we now have minus 3 x plus 3 squared plus 29 equal to 0. So at the turning point, my x plus 3 will be equal to 0, and therefore my x equals minus 3. My y equals 29 at the turning point. Now we need to solve for the roots. So we take minus 3 into bracket x plus 3 squared plus 29 equal to 0, and take 29 to the other side. Minus 29. So let me draw this down. So that's what we got, and we need to divide both sides by minus 3. And so I get x plus 3 squared equals 20 minus 29 over minus 3, and that should give us 29 over 3. Then what we now need to do is basically square both sides. So I have x plus 3 equals plus or minus square root 29 over 3. Now I need to take 3 to the other side, or subtract minus 3 from both sides. So x equals minus 3 plus or minus square root 29 over 3. At this point in time, that's the solution, really. It says x equals minus 3 plus root 29 over 3, or minus 3 minus root 29 over 3. So those are the roots. Now 29 divided by root of 29 divided by 3 is 3.11. So my x will be minus 3 plus 3.11, or minus 3 minus 3.11, which is 0.11, and 6 minus 6.11. And if I sketch this curve, if I sketch it, this is a rough sketch. Minus 6 is somewhere here, 0.11 is there. The intercept on the y-axis is plus 2, that's c, so that's here. And the turning point x is minus 3, so somewhere here, and 29, so my turning point is there, so you have to do that as a turning point. That's where it turns, and it comes here. When it turns, it comes that way, and it goes there and there. So that's minus 3, and this bit here is 29, and the intercept here is 2, and the roots, so those roots are 0.11, and that root is 6.11 minus 6.11, and that's your turning point. Question 5. We need to solve 2x squared minus 12x plus 9. In this case, a is plus 2, and if it's a plus a, it's a local minimum. If you look on the right hand side, it's a local minimum, and that's the way the curve should look like. A is 2, therefore my completing the square of the first two terms is not prepared. We need to prepare it for completing the square by taking the 2 out first. So when we take the 2 out, we're going to have x squared. Taking the 2 out in this case means just dividing all by 2, except only for the first two terms, not the third term. So minus, 12 divided by 2 is 6x in this case, plus 9 equal to 0. Now I can apply completing the square to x squared and minus 6x because they are ready for it. Now I need to do 2. I will use a square bracket. The x squared will always become x. Bring down the sign of minus in this case. And now you need to divide your new b, which is 6, by 2, so that will be 3. You always divide it by 2 when you're completing the square, not because a is 2 in this case. You always divide it by 2. And you square it. And you then take away the square of the new b over 2, which is square of 3, which is 9. And then you close the square bracket and you bring down your 9. That will be equal to 0. Now we need to open the square bracket and multiply everything by 2 in the square bracket. So that would be 2 bracket x minus 3 squared minus 18 minus 9 times 2 is minus 18 plus 9 equal to 0. Now, so you get 2 into bracket x minus 3 squared minus 9 equal to 0. Now at this point in time, I know the turning points now coordinate. So at the turning point, The coordinates are when x is minus 3 equal to 0, x equals to 3, and y equals minus 9. Those are the turning point. So now to solve for the roots, I then need to work on this one and then make it take 9, add 9 to both sides, so that will be x minus 3 squared minus 9 equal to 0. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides, so that will be 2 into bracket x minus 3 squared equals 9. And I need to divide both sides by 2. X plus, and so x minus, don't know if I get cross from, x minus 3 squared equals 9 over 2. Then you draw my line here so I can then carry on. Now I need to square root both sides, so I get x minus 3 equals plus or minus root 9 over 2, and therefore x will be equal 3 plus or minus root 9 over 2. So root 9 over 2 is root 4.5. Square root of 4.5. If we leave it in surd form, it will be 3 plus or minus 3 root 2 over 2. That's your answer in surd form, because root 9 is 3. So let me just write 3 plus or minus 3 over root 2. But root 2, 1 over root 2 is root 2 over 2. And that's why you get 3 root 2 over 2. But in a decimal form, that will become 3 plus or minus 2.1. Which means your x will become 0.9, because 3 minus 2.1 is 0.9, or 5.1, because 3 plus 2.1 is 5.1. So sketching this curve, it's a quick small sketch. Our turning points are x equals 3, so there'll be 3 there, and y equals 9 minus 9, so it'll be somewhere there. So that's our turning point. That's what we mean by turning point. And that's 3, and that is minus 9. Right, so that's our turning point there. The roots are 0.9, so 0.9 is there, and 5 point, so if I extend that actually, so that'll be 5.1. So that means that this will go all the way there, like that, and that will go all the way there, crossing the y-axis at 9. So this point here is 9, because C is 9. And that's your curve. Make sure that's x, that's minus x, y, minus y.